सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। The four means of attaining knowledge. Covered reading the text. I'll quickly recap all the four methods of gaining knowledge. Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, Agama. The four sources of knowledge. And we have seen, even though Pramana means, in English we translate it as means of knowledge, what in implication it means is, it is the proof of knowledge. The means, even though in English we have to translate it as the means, in implication what it means is, Pramanam means the proof of knowledge. Like we say Satya Pramanam, no? Like we say Satya Pramanam means it is proof. It is the proven source of knowledge. What are the proven sources of knowledge? And also we have seen the three factors that goes into calling something as a Pramanam. If you remember that, the three factors. The first factor is this. No two Pramanas access the same field of knowledge. No two Pramanas access the same field of knowledge is the first thing. Because of this exclusivity, second point is, because of this exclusivity, one Pramana cannot negate knowledge gained through another Pramana. The second. Finally, because any given knowledge can only be gained by one Pramanam, and once gained, it cannot be substantiated or negated by any other means. Therefore, it is an independent source. Swatantra Pramana. So, Pramana means it is Swatantra. Swatantra means it is independently, it doesn't need anything. These are the, when we say something is a Pramanam, it has to fulfill these conditions. Based on these conditions only, we can call something as a Pramanam, a proof, a authority. It means the corollary. It means you need to know what is the appropriate Pramanam you have to use. It means, are you able to follow? It means you need to know what is the appropriate Pramana you have to use. Because only when you know what is the appropriate Pramanam, then only you will gain the right knowledge. You cannot use a different Pramanam and come to a conclusion as valid or invalid. This knowledge is true, this knowledge is wrong. This knowledge is valid, this knowledge is invalid. You cannot come to a conclusion. If based on conclusion, if you have to come to the knowledge, earth is flat. If based on Pratyaksha, if you have to conclude, the knowledge that you have to conclude is earth is earth is flat, because that is what Pratyaksha says. But then to know whether the earth is flat or not, what you are supposed to use? You are not supposed to use the senses, the Pratyaksha. You are supposed to use something different. So when you say the earth is round, it is not based on Pratyaksha, because you didn't see it as, you have not seen it as round, or unless you go to space or something. No, even before going to space, they understood earth is round. Based on what? Not based on, not based on Pratyaksha. So from this, what do you understand? To gain the right knowledge, it is very important to know what pramanam you have to use. Are you okay till now? Shastra always talks about that. Vedanta always talks about that which cannot be seen by the other three. That which cannot be seen by the other three is what Vedanta talks about. Are you able to follow? If it can be known by Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, Vedanta as a separate knowledge has no relevance at all. இதெல்லாம் புரியறதே கொஞ்சம் கஷ்டம். இல்ல சார், அது பாட்டுல இருந்துட்டு போட்டுமே, நல்லா தானே இருக்கு. It is not a pramanam. It is just a time pass study. For us, Vedanta is a time pass study because we don't use the appropriate pramanam. What is the appropriate pramanam? The subject, sorry, not the pramanam, the subject matter. The subject matter of Vedanta is so unique that it can be proven only by Vedanta only. In fact, it is the same rule for everything. What is mathematics can be proven only by mathematics. You can't bring in economics to prove algebraic equation. So the proof is by the very subject is the proof. Are you able to follow? When it comes to God, the mistake that people make is you want to know God through the other pramanams, which is not possible. Which is not possible. You cannot know God through the other pramanams. What are the other pramanams? The other pramanams of Pratyaksha, Anumana and Upamana. You cannot know it. Or if God can be known through that, then there is no need for a separate knowledge, for you know it already. Therefore, very important is to know what is the appropriate pramanam that you have to use. Second corollary is not to look for support from other pramanams. Don't look for support from other pramanams. And another mistake that people make is, for the conclusions of Vedanta, they want support from the other pramanams. They want science to corroborate it. They want science to come and science will never come and ask Vedanta to corroborate it. No, for it is a separate inquiry. But why do you want science to corroborate what Vedanta says? What Vedanta says? Because it is separate. But then another mistake that people make is they want another pramanam to come and support it, which is again a wrong methodology. Are you able to follow? You can't ask a person who knows chemistry to assess another man's knowledge of economics. He's a PhD in chemistry. Therefore, ask him to assess economics. Does it work? But people think it works. That is our problem. That's where he says the fall of the intellect is so bad that people are. This is what he calls as the fall of the human intellect. What is the fall of the human intellect? We really don't know what is the pramanam that has to be used for what. And using the wrong pramanam always leads to a wrong conclusion. The wrong conclusion can be, yes, therefore it is correct. Through observation, that's why I gave the example. Karma pala. Through observation, you can't say there is karma pala. Through observation, you can't negate karma pala also. This person is leading a very good life, sir. Therefore, karma pala exists. Makes no sense. Because observation is not a pramanam for that. Are you able to follow? Neither can you say this person is leading a bad life. Therefore, there is karma pala. Again, you can't say a bad person leading a good life. Therefore, there is no such thing as. For all these conclusions is based on what? Observation. And observation is not, karma pala is not a subject matter of observation, pratyaksha. Are you able to follow? Considering this, the four sources of knowledge has to be understood rightly. And why he talks about it is because the subject matter of Vedanta is unique to itself, and only that can prove its. What is the proof of it? The very subject is the proof. That is why if you find in all the classes, in everything that we discuss, to support the verse from Atma Bodha, we will quote Bhagavad Gita. To support the verse from Bhagavad Gita, we will quote an Upanishad. To support that verse from Upanishad, we will quote another Upanishad. But we will never quote Einstein said so, therefore Upanishad is correct. That is absurd. Einstein didn't agree. Therefore, what Upanishad says is wrong. You cannot say that either. Are you able to follow? It is if this is something, why I am spending some more time again on this is because the entire books that we cover, except this portion, we don't get to discuss this in. We don't get to discuss this in any other portion. Therefore, having a chance, I want to make this point very, very clear. What is it? The subject matter is very unique, which cannot be discussed by any other matter, by any other pramana. The subject matter of Vedanta is the unseen factor. Remember this. The subject matter of Vedanta is the unseen factor. The Sanskrit word for the unseen factor is adrishta. Today we can't even use this word adrishta because adrishta means luck. Or nalla adrishtam sir. Enak adrishtame illa. We have started using the word adrishta means luck. It is not we are not using it in that sense. Drishta means seen. Adrishta means not seen, unseen. Are you able to follow now? Unseen means that which is unseen by the body, the mind, the intellect. Sciences cannot be seen through the eyes, but it can be seen through the intellect. Are you able to follow? Mathematics is not seen through the eyes, but mathematics is seen through the buddhi, the intelligence, the intellect. And when we talk about reincarnation, it is neither. Are you able to follow? Gravity is not seen, but gravity is not seen by the eyes, but gravity is seen by the buddhi. Gravity is seen by the buddhi. Now, the same buddhi, if it have to understand reincarnation, it has to derive its strength and understanding only from what? It has to derive its understanding, it has to derive its strength only from Vedanta, not from anything else. For other things cannot corroborate it. Are you able to follow? It means Vedanta, the subject matter of Vedanta is unique, and it talks about that which cannot be seen by the senses, the mind, the intellect. The subject matter is that which cannot be known through the body, the senses, known through the mind, known through the intellect either. Are you able to follow? All that you see is temporary. All that you experience is temporary. And that temporary is supported by that which is permanent. Are you able to follow? All that is temporary, 50% of the problem only you are addressing. It is not a complete statement. It is only half statement, half truth. All that you experience is temporary, and that temporary is supported by that which is, and that temporary is supported by something which is permanent. Who says that? Only Vedanta says that. Therefore, the subject matter is unique. The very subject matter is unique. And why he discusses it in the 3 states of consciousness? Because that you are going through the 3 states of consciousness, you don't need Vedanta, for you know it. That is why when Vedanta says you go through this waking, dream, deep sleep, straight away you nod your head and say, yes, I agree. Why? Because even without this knowledge, it is your experience. You know it already. You don't need Vedanta to come and tell you. It is not that after coming for Vedanta class only you realized that you are dreaming and you go through deep sleep. No, you know it even before that. That is why you are able to straight away agree. I'm not getting into the intricate distinctions between waking and dream state. I'm not getting into that. Why it is discussed in the 4th state? Because that 4th state is the subject matter of. There is the thing called the 4th state is the subject matter of Vedanta, and it is unique only to Vedanta, and all your support and understanding must come from. All your support and understanding of the 4th state is exclusively provided only by Vedanta. You cannot take any other, you can't take the support of any other thing to corroborate this. This is called clearer thinking. If you have understood this, your thinking is clear. If you have understood this, your thinking is clear. It means what? You know what pramanam to use where. Your thinking is clear. You don't mix up. You don't mix up. Since the subject matter of Vedanta is always the unseen, the logic of it will be different. The reasoning style will be different. It will not be fitting into the same logical reasoning pattern of that which you can see. Are you able to follow the last point? With this, I'm going to conclude. Since the subject matter of it is unseen, the logic, the methodology of, even though we use the word logic and reasoning, the methodology of logic, the methodology of reasoning will be unique and different to Vedanta. And why we call it as subtlest is because it is discussing about that which is unseen and stretching us. No. Why we call this as the subtlest subject is because it is always talking about that which is unseen and it is stretching your, and it is stretching the thinking. To conclude, the fourth state, beyond the waking, beyond the dream, beyond the deep sleep, lies the fourth state, lies your essential nature, can be known, reflected, understood, experienced only with, only with Vedantic knowledge. You cannot know it by any other means. And an atheist trying to prove that there is no God and a theist trying to prove that there is God, both do not know what they are doing. An atheist trying to prove that there is no God, a theist trying to prove that there is God, both are using the same pramanam. What is the same pramanam they use? Pratyakshanumana, upamana, only they use to prove or disprove. Whereas Vedanta comes and says, both of you are wrong, because the very pramanam is different. Are you able to follow? The very pramanam is different. That is how you develop a conviction in the knowledge without becoming a fanatic. Why all this, why so much of detailed elaboration and talking and discussion is because this is how you develop a conviction, but not a fanatic. Vedanta doesn't have any conversion program. Vedanta is not interested in converting people to its flock. Vedanta is not interested in brainwashing people and bringing more and more into its fold. It says, if you want to know this, this is the only source. Are you able to follow? A human being is made up of the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Is based on, what is the authority for that? Brahma Muhurta. What is the authority for that? Nowadays children say, sir, adallam ulta sir, Brahma Muhurta allam kadave kadayadu. We are fresh only in the night. Daytime lalla we are very thin, and night vara we are becoming more and more fresh. Therefore, there is no such thing called Brahma Muhurta and all. Are you able to follow? What is the pramanam upon which we are understanding this? It says there is sattva, rajas, and tamas, and it will use its own unique pattern of logic and reason to prove that there is sattva, rajas, and tamas. Are you able to follow? It says there is sattva, rajas, and tamas, and it uses its own unique logic and reason to prove that there is sattva, rajas, and tamas. But you have to rely on the analytical methods given in Vedanta. You cannot use the analytical methods that you studied elsewhere. Yeah. Data processing, engineering, mathematics, analytical method, you can't bring those analytical methods and try and prove anything here. And I tell you, people are trying it so much, because they also want to prove that Vedanta is very logical and scientific. I said, why do you have to have the inferiority complex that take those methods to prove that it is right? You don't need to, because it means you still they have not understood it rightly. What is the conclusion? The conclusion is what is known through Vedanta is not known by any other pramana. Number one. What is known through Vedanta is not known through any other pramanam. What is known through Vedanta cannot be negated or substantiated by any other pramanam. Second. Third, the very knowing through Vedanta is proof of what is known. The third. These are the sources of knowledge. And Vedanta is kept as a separate inquiry. Punya or Papa, who talks about it? Punya or Papa is Adrishta, unseen karma pala. The Punya or Papa is unseen karma pala. Now, who talks about it? Who? Vedanta uses its own logic and reason to explain it. But the inquiry is done by? The inquiry and the conclusion is done by? Is done by what? There is Punya. There is Papa. You do this, you will be, you do this, you have to face this consequences. Example we give, you put your fingers in the fire, your fingers get burnt. You eat chili, you get a stomach ache. Are you able to follow? Okay, it is understandable when cause and effect happens immediately. Supposing you put your finger in the fire today and it is getting burnt 50 years later, na? How can you account for it? Are you able to follow? But it is Vedanta using its penetrative methods correlates these two. It is Vedanta using its penetrative methods and understanding correlating these two. Therefore, Vedanta as a pramanam is always talking about that which is unseen. The very subject matter is unseen. When we say the very subject matter is unseen, means unseen by what? It can't be seen by a senses is not the proof, mind is not the proof, intelligent conclusion is not the proof. Are you able to follow? Logical conclusion is not the proof. Then what is the proof? It is said in Vedanta, therefore it is the proof. But sir, adu blind, that is blind faith, no. We are all very scientific people, we don't follow anything blindly. We follow everything out of understanding only. We follow everything out of understanding only. Most of the things in life you follow with a faith only. Most of the things in life is done by faith only. The unknown factor plays a very big role in human life. In the month of February, if somebody has told me, August and September, Zoom class I would have said what? I would have said, me sitting and talking in front of the computer, oh my God. இதை விட ஒரு I cannot get into that. I will not get into this madness of sitting and talking in front of a screen. How that unknown factor flipped life. How that unknown factor has flipped life in a, not in an individual way, in a cosmic way. You come out and see all species are happy. One species the mask potent going all around the, yeah. Wear a mask here, inga or sanitizer, yeah. And they also say, whoever you meet, you have to assume they have, whoever you meet, you have to assume that they have COVID-19. You feel like they are going to, you see anybody, you feel like they are going to murder you. They have come out only to see anybody. Today I had to go out. And I went out seeing everybody. Intent is to, are you able to follow? So life always has this, a huge unknown factor which flips it, and a human being can know it only after it happens. He can never know it before. Are you able to follow? All our knowledge is hindsight. That is why we know after the event only we know. Before that, if somebody can know before that, another horoscope man get a course. Why do we go to horoscope man? Josekarar, why do we go? Because tell me before it happen. Vedanta will come and say it is impossible, because the unknown factor can never be. Are you able to follow the logic? If we say it is an unknown factor, the unknown factor can never be known. Or if it can be known, then it cannot be. Then there is no such thing as unknown factor. Are you able to follow? Logic puriyarda? If we say life has an unknown factor, it should be unknown to everybody, including the horoscope man. If we say no, it is unknown, but whoever studies astrology, they will know it, then there is no such thing called unknown factor at all in life. Vedanta comes and says it is not like that. How much ever you know, the unknown shapes your life. Who says that? Vedanta says that. Therefore, the pramanam for all that we study and discuss and try to understand using logic and reason and the analytical methods prescribed by Vedanta. So it is logical, it is scientific, it is logical, it is reasoning only when you follow that the methods prescribed by that particular thing. You cannot bring in the analytical methods of something else and try and prove it here. What a microscope can prove, telescope cannot prove. What a telescope can prove, microscope cannot prove. As simple as that. Again I repeat, what a telescope can prove, microscope cannot prove. What a microscope can prove, telescope can never prove. Therefore, in clearer thinking, we need to know what is the respective pramanam that I have to, that one has to use. So what they did in the olden days, before the study of Vedanta is taught, the analytical methods of Vedanta will be taught first. The analytical methods of Vedanta will be taught first. இப்போ அதை டீச் பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சோம்னாக்கா இல்லையா 40-50ல தான் வேதாந்தத்துக்குள்ளே வரும். இப்போ அதை டீச் பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சோம்னாக்கா அதுக்கே விட்டு இல்லையா அதை அன்லேர்ன் பண்ணி இதை லேர்ன் பண்ணி by the time we come to know, nothing will be known. Therefore we have to skip certain things. But what in Vedanta treatise or in his commentaries Swamiji has done is he has built in that shastric way of reflection. That is why when we do it, we get it. In the olden days, what they did, they teach it separately first. Since it was taught separately, it becomes that much easy for the students to follow. It means you have to spend a few years in that first. You cannot ask anybody to spend a few years on that first, because when we come in contact with the subject like Vedanta, we come at a very late time. Even if we come very early, it is more because of some worry or anxiety or problem, not out of wanting to learn. It's not wrong. Because of these methods, what happens? The topic of Pramanam is discussed very much in depth. In Vedanta, the topic of Pramanam is discussed very much in depth. Siksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Chandas, Jyotish. These are the 6 different subjects that talks about the Vedic Pramanam. Mundakopanishad talks about the Mundakopanishad, the list கொடுத்ததனால at least we know that there is the 6. If Mundaka didn't give the list, we wouldn't even know this list. Siksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Chandas, and Jyotish is the 6 methods, 6 analytical methods of coming to a firm conviction that Vedanta is an independent Pramanam. Vedanta is an independent Pramanam. These are the 4 sources of knowledge. With this, I conclude the 4 sources of knowledge, and I also want to move on. Rumba 4 sources of patti pesi it is getting too. From the 4 sources of knowledge, we move on to the next topic. The next topic is assurance of Vedanta. Assurance of Vedanta. It is assuring because it is an independent authority. Assurance of Vedanta means it is an independent. Are you able to follow the thought sequence? Assurance of Vedanta because it is assuring because it is an independent authority by itself. So the topic reads assurance of Vedanta. I'll read the topic first, and then we will see what the topic is discussing. Chapter, the states of consciousness. The topic, assurance of Vedanta. Vedanta assures the self is within the reach of every human being, that you can gain the 4th state of absolute peace and bliss. Attain it by merging with the self. That is your mission in life. If you do not achieve it, your life is spent in vain. You suffer the greatest loss. None seems to realize this, nor even aware of the purpose of human existence. The trend everywhere is to crave for material possession and sensual enjoyment. People are enchanted by the attractions of the external world and live a superficial life, with no concern for the underlying reality within them. They are lost in the waking dream and deep sleep states of consciousness, and totally involved in the temporal existence of these states, ignorant and indifferent towards their absolute state of the divine self. But those who seek the self within enjoy peace and bliss progressively. Pursuing the spiritual path, they finally attain the absolute bliss of enlightenment. Relating to the proximity of the goal a seeker pursues, he experiences 4 progressive stages of happiness. Salokyam, inhabiting the same location as the object of pursuit. Samipyam, getting nearer, approaching the object. Sarupyam, seeing the form of the object. Sayujyam, merging with the object of pursuit. A common experience in life illustrates this progressive joy. A couple in Pune awaits the arrival of their son after long years of study in a foreign country. They hear that his plane has landed in Mumbai, more than 100 kilometers away. Yet, the news of his arrival in the country in the same location as theirs give them the first taste of joy. This is Salokyam. An hour later, they hear that he is driving down in a car to Pune. The fact that he is coming nearer, approaching them, provides greater joy. Samipyam. The car reaches their home. They see him from the balcony. The sight of their son excites them furthermore. Sarupyam. Then they rush down for the final embrace, the culmination of their joy. Sayujyam. A spiritual seeker goes through a similar experience in his pursuit of the self. He too passes these 4 stages of happiness. Shifting his focus from the external world to the self within gives him the initial happiness. Withdrawing from the affairs of the world and locating himself in the realm of the self, occupying the same realm, is the joy of Salokyam. And by pursuing the self, getting closer to the self, he experiences greater peace and happiness, which is Samipyam. Further, with sustained spiritual experience, he gains a glimpse of the brilliance and bliss of the self. Though the self is not an object of perception, he sees its radiance in all his experiences of life, feels a deeper contentment and happiness. That is Sarupyam. Finally, with determined and concerted effort, his individual self merges with the Supreme Self. He gains Sayujyam, the absolute bliss of spiritual enlightenment. Thus, must you give your personality a lift to your real being. You will then lift the whole world. Move to the central core of your personality. Become the axle around which the world revolves. Scores of sages have done that. The secret of their success is they sought the truth within themselves. They did not rely on outside forces, nor attach themselves to any institution, to any mission. Buddha was not a Buddhist, nor Christ a Christian. Swami Ramatirtha relied on no mission. Yet institutions and missions were built around their personalities. People who belong to institutions and missions raise dollars, put up buildings, buy up materiality. Such conquest has little to do with spiritual growth. Reflect for a moment. Who form congregations, associations and institutions? Who meet in large numbers, form great assemblies, not stalwarts, not the real masters of the world. No spiritual colossus lives in numbers. He does not find the need for an association or mission. He lives alone, all by himself. Only weaklings gather crowds around them. Just mark the animal kingdom. Sheep and deer move in herds. Sparrows and pigeons flock in numbers, but a lion moves majestically all alone. An eagle soars in the sky all alone. Yet a single lion or eagle can put to flight the congregations. Such is the might and power of yourself. Gain that inner strength. Move to the core of your personality. Get to the 4th state of self-realization. You become the King of Kings, the God of Gods. Now, the assurance of Vedanta. Quite a few points are discussed in this. We will see it in the sequence. First is the unseen can be experienced is the assurance. We said the subject matter is unseen. Unseen in Radhapati Pesi, what is the use of discussing about that which is unseen? Why waste time discussing about that which is unseen? Assurance of Vedanta is that unseen is within the reach of every. The unseen self is within the reach of every human being. What is implied here is provided I follow the prescribed courses. It is implied. That need not be told. When it says it is within the reach of every human being, provided you follow the prescribed courses. What are the prescribed courses? That is the next lesson. The spiritual courses, karma, bhakti, jnana, hatha yoga, and all, which we will see later. So now what he is saying, the assurance of Vedanta, the unseen can be known, experienced, provided you follow the course. You can't do what you feel like doing and come back and ask, why am I not experiencing it? You follow? So what you need to do, the assurance is there is this unseen, and this unseen can be, there is this unseen, and this unseen can be experienced. If you are not doing this, ihacheta vedi atasatyamasti nacheti ha vedi mahati vinashti. Kenopanishad. He says, if you have not experienced it here now, your life is a mahati vinashti. It's a greatest loss. What is the greatest loss? When you have had when there is a possibility to experience the highest, you have wasted it on material possession and sensual enjoyment. Material possession and sensual enjoyment. You are wasting your life on material possession and sensual enjoyment because of you not able to visualize the highest. You are not able to. That is why. If you are in the right course, assuming that you are following the prescribed course of, whatever the Shastras, whatever Vedanta prescribes as the method to get to that state, if you are pursuing that, you will experience these four. Salokyam, Samipyam, Sarupyam, Sayujyam. Example is he has given a beautiful example. What is the example? The boy has landed in, the flight has landed. Yeah. You go to the airport to receive, the flight has landed. The fellow you have not yet seen. You see in the board that the flight has landed. Yeah, he has come. Yeah. Still immigration it will take 1.5 hours. That is all right. But then in the same, we are in the same place. That is called Salokyam. Same loka. Experiencing the same loka. Then comes Samipyam. What you have done, you have bought the ticket and you have gone inside. He says, immigration is over, waiting to collect the bags. Getting nearer. He is getting nearer to you. Excitement is more. Yeah. And then Tamil movie lavara madri escalator he will he will come down. Yeah. First you will see the shoes, then you will see the pant, then you will see the stomach, then you will see the then and then when you see the face, more joy, because seen, that is Sarupiam, seeing the form. And then he comes out, you go and hug. It is called Sayujyam. As you grow spiritually, what happens? You go through these 4 distinct stages of happiness. These 4 distinct stages of happiness you going through is the assurance that you are on the right track. Are you able to follow the logic and reason? The 4 stages that you will be going through is the proof that you are on the right track, and you need not rely on any external proof. You need not keep checking with somebody. Am I on the right track? Am I on the right track? You need not. Salokyam, Samipyam, Sarupyam, Sayujyam. As you grow, this is the progressive way in which the progressive steps in which the peace and happiness goes on increasing. Salokyam. Salokyam is such a big relief. Salokyam is a very big relief. What does Salokyam means? Just withdrawing from the preoccupations of the world and moving towards the pursuit of self itself is so relieving, is so joyful, is so relieving, is so joyful, is so blissful. That is Salokyam, because you have started to move in the same. Salokyam means living in the same loka. Salokyam means inhabiting the same location as the object that you pursue. That is Salokyam, in the same loka. Sa plus loka. Saloka. Salokyam. Then comes Samipam. Samipyam. Tamil கூட சொல்லல, சமீபத்துல தான். Samipyam. Samipyam means getting nearer, approaching the object. Sarupyam, you have seen it. Sayujyam, you hug, and hugging implies you have become one with it. Sayujyam is the absolute state, finally the last stage. Finally the last stage. All these 4 stages you will go through itself is the proof that you are in the right, track. What is the assumption here? You are following the prescribed courses. What is the assumption here? You are following the prescribed courses in the way that it ought to be done. Are you able to follow? That is why we say this self-help is the best help, no sir. Self-help is the best help, no. Self-help is the worst help. You need to take the help of you have to take the help of the Shastras, and then by experiencing the changes in you, you know that you are on the right. By experiencing the changes in you, you will know that you are on the right track. Your journey is right. What these great masters did, instead of relying on an external authority for proof of God, they went deep in themselves and they knew the truth. Are you able to follow the difference? Instead of relying on the external support of somebody, they went into themselves and they knew the truth. So them knowing the truth is not dependent on any external support. Them knowing the truth is their own knowing. Sayujyam. Having attained that, that's where he says, scores of sages have done that. Scores of sages have done that, means many people have, many have done that. Following the subject, many have done that. The unmoving axle support the moving wheel. The supporting wheel, sorry, the moving wheel, the rotating wheel is supported by that which is unmoving. So all the movement is supported by that which is not moving. Correct? This is the classic Upanishad example. The axle and the become the axle around which the world revolves. Becomes the axle around which the world revolves. Everything is revolving around consciousness, and you become that. Everything is revolving around consciousness, and you become the consciousness. Become the axle around which the world revolves. Arvindan as the jiva will not become the center, and everything will revolve around that. Don't misunderstand. It's not in that sense. It's not in that sense. Consciousness is the center around which the entire world revolves, and you become that. And you become that consciousness. Yeah. When we say you become the center around which the world revolves, Ganesh cannot assume that Ganesh will become the center around him the whole world revolves. It is not that. It is the consciousness which is the center and around which the whole world revolves. And who are you? And who are you? I am the consciousness. That's Atmabodhala. Atmabodhala brainwash panine irukkrare. Atmabodhala, he is brainwashing you to say that no. Who are you na? To say I am the consciousness. By saying I am the consciousness, you understand that you become the axle around which the world, you become the axle around which the world revolves. So you don't rely on any external authority. You don't rely on any external authority. You become, the experience of yours becomes the authority, for which the only help that you get it from is Vedanta. Because Vedanta says, unless you know it for yourself, you always remain ignorant only. Unless you have experienced it, you are ignorant. You will be called as ignorant only. Now that you have become part of the mission, you have known the truth. Now that you have become part of the Vedanta class, it's not that you know the truth. Inga sign up pannitene, adanala will I know, therefore I am also part of knowing the truth. That's what Vedanta says. You may sign up, you may not sign up, that is immaterial. Only by going into your own self, you can know the truth. The assurance of Vedanta is you can know it only by delving into your own self. This is the assurance. If you delve into yourself, you will know the. If you delve into yourself, you will know the truth. If you go into yourself, you will know the truth. And Vedanta is the knowledge that supports you that helps you to go into yourself and discover the truth. That's why Vedanta is able to give this assurance. It doesn't say you become part of the Vedanta treaty study class. You will know the truth. It doesn't say. Nor it will say stop going for it. Then only it doesn't. By signing up or going away, nothing is going to happen unless you are willing to delve deep into. Unless you are willing to delve deep into yourself, following the prescribed. You delve deep into yourself by following the courses prescribed. What happens? You will experience Salokyam, Samipyam, Sarupyam, Sayujyam. You're able to follow the sequence? This is the assurance of Vedanta, which is very convincing. Which is very, very convincing. For it is not saying, I am telling you, trust me. Why don't you trust me? Just to follow what I am saying, you will know the truth. It is not talking that language. It says, you delve deep into yourself, for which there is a prescribed systematic course. You do that. How do you know that you are on the right track? Salokyam, Samipyam, Sarupyam, Sayujyam is the indication that you are on the right track. Is the assurance of Vedanta, which is more than convincing. When I say more than convincing means it is very appealing. Yeah. Or it should be appealing. Although it is very appealing. It should be appealing to the one who is the seeker of the truth. That's why wherever there is a seekers of truth in any part of the world, at some point of time they connect with Vedanta. In any part of the world, wherever they are, they connect with Vedanta and know the truth and experience the truth. With this, we conclude the topic assurance of Vedanta, and we move on to the having said the assurance. Next logical question is, what is the prescribed? What is the prescribed course? What is the path to that reality is the next topic, which we will take up in the next class. Having said this, having said this is the pramanam, having said this is the pramanam, having gotten the assurance, the next question is, what is it that I should do? For which there is we said there is a prescribed course, and that prescribed courses is what is discussed in this chapter, in this next topic, the path of reality, and dealt with in detail in the next chapter called the 4 yogas. Fresher இருக்கிறதுனால the thought sequence சொல்லிட்டேன் இப்பவே. Yeah. 2 weeks later we may forget it. Yeah. And make a mental note of the thought sequence. Pramanam is established, assurance is established. The path is going to be, now the path is going to be described in elaborately in detail. First, in the next topic that we will study next week, the path of reality will be discussed, will be introduced briefly. In the next chapter, the 4 yogas, the path will be described in complete. With this, we conclude for today.